Hello everyone, welcome to Elemental Seasons. I'm Dany Lyne, I'm an intuitive, and for the last 20 years I've been co-creating wellness and aligned manifestation with folks worldwide, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In this series, I'm going to tap us into the primary elemental teacher and their very specific curriculum this season and this year. The more we're aware, the more we can integrate and activate elemental wisdom into our lives. Join my YouTube channel to get your elemental seasonal check-in. So good evening, good morning, and thrilled to be here because of all days we are on the cusp of the change of season, which most people don't know, because in traditional Chinese medicine there are 5 seasons. And this is the beginning of the Earth cycle, which only lasts 1 month, August 21st to September 21st. Basically, in any medicine wheel that deals with the elements, which is pretty much all the medicine wheels around the world, there are 5 elements, and sometimes the elements are slightly different, but they're always generally 5 of them. Often 4 in around the circle and 1 in the middle. In traditional Chinese medicine, they do put it in a sequence around the circle so that you have Earth at this point in the yellow color and representing the spleen, the pancreas, and the stomach. And so that it's after the fire element, which is the heart and small intestine, but it's before the metal element, which is the fall, which is colon and lungs. Now, the thing about these elemental markers and seasons is that although each element has its own very specific characteristics, it's a teacher, and it brings in a certain flavor of wisdom. And it becomes predominant in its season as the guide for your spirit and the manifestations at the physical, emotional, and the mental level as well. So it just means that right now we are in this fabric governed, if we can say, by the earth, which means we're primed to heal our pancreas, our spleens, and our stomach more than any other organ at any other time of the year. So what we're going to be doing in this transmission is tuning in to this, if you want, elemental weather that we're going to be moving through for the next month. Whatever the teachings are for the element of earth, they very much have as the central point of focus transitions. It's a time of change. It's a time of transition. Gears are changing, and Earth acknowledges that you don't just change gears from one second to the other. Changing gears is a process. For many of you, right, in the States and in Canada and in Europe, right, in climates that have radical expressions of the seasons. I don't want to depress you guys, but you're moving towards the fall. I know it's kind of bad news, but in some way, I'm sorry. But it's an acknowledgement, right, that you're moving towards the fall and then moving towards, right, fall, winter, and spring, which is a huge conglomerate of colder weather, which creates very different conditions for your body, but as you know, for your spirit as well. As an element, the spirit of earth comes in to say, okay, let's just be aware of this and let's just get our ducks in a row so that we're not blowing our wad and don't have preserves for the fall and the winter and the spring. So really, the earth is coming in like a good mama and saying, we're going to think ahead, and there's weather in the forecast, and we're going to put a raincoat in your backpack today. This element, more than any element, has that motherly imprint, no matter what song she's singing. It's mama singing. I will be connected to the element of earth, but based on my meditation this morning, and I can feel it coming in now, Babaji, the Kriya Yogi, is also coming in. So give me a sec. In my meditation this morning, Babaji did not tell me why he was coming in, because I did ask. I was like, now, why are you showing up of all days? Why are you showing up today? But now he's speaking up and explaining to me why he's here with the earth element and at this particular transition. What he's showing is that we are not only going through a transition right now that is seasonal and therefore one that acknowledges a rhythm that is fundamentally annual. He's saying that fundamentally right now the earth element is very, very important for all of us to tune into and to acknowledge and to connect to. And yes, to many people, of course, we think that's nature, that's the planet, that's Mama Earth. But he's saying, to the point of this conversation, we acknowledge that earth element is a spirit and is an energy and is a teacher and is a guide. So we're not just connecting to pretty nature and earth and beautiful rivers. We are connecting to an intelligence that allows us to access wisdom and guidance. He's saying that that particular flavor of guidance and that particular teacher is super, super relevant right now, and is going to be relevant in not just in the 1 month that we have ahead, but rather in the full year. So he's saying actually that this year that starts now, if you want, the next annual cycle, the earth element is the important one to remember and connect to and keep coming back to, especially when you start losing your shit, basically. The minute you start losing your shit and you just feel like you're really off track, or you're panicking, or there's a sense of despair, he's saying, come back to this teacher. It's a question of tapping into the energy of the earth, to the rhythm of the earth, to the teachings of the spirit of the earth, so that you know how to navigate this energetic change, so that you can harness those energies to your best advantage, so that you learn, grow, and evolve at a rate that you couldn't have imagined at another time in your life. So we are poised for change, which means we are poised for, in light of this, for some really profound learning, some accessing of really deep wisdom, and a changing of gears. To use technical language, it would say this is the hard drive reboot. Babaji is saying that when we're poised for growth, it means that, and evolution, we're poised for healing. But to be poised for healing, we have to create the conditions in which the healing can occur. And that's where the teachings of the spirit of the earth and the energy of that teacher can help us keep ourselves in the self-care and self-awareness bandwidth. So I feel like the earth element and Babaji are kind of speaking at the same time now, but it feels like Mother Earth, the earth is going to lead this next statement. So she's saying right now, what's going to piss you off, but is actually to your advantage, is that the spirit of earth right now, she's saying she's going to make symptoms obvious. So she's going to make aches and pains obvious. She's going to make discomfort obvious, so that you have a very quick turnaround of feedback as to what you're doing physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So the feedback loop, she's saying, is going to be very short, and that can be annoying, but what it's doing is those voices are nudges to say, whoa, you got to adjust, right? You got to steer and you've got to adjust. and regroup and kind of refine your sense of rhythm and how you're showing up each day. And so she's saying it's going to be a bit like the itch that keeps coming back on your back, you know, and you're kind of thinking, oh, for crying out loud again. But she's saying that that persistence is coming from a place of love and is coming from a place of saying, you know what? Deal with this now. Look at this now. There's a way out of this now. That's the most important part. She's saying that she's giving you clear indications and motherly feedback so that you can, at a very subtle level, respond, so that then you're best positioned to receive this energy of massive consciousness upgrade that Babaji is talking about. So if there's a time right now to show up for yourself, it's right now. If it's a time, right, where there's something that's been on your list for a long time that you haven't been doing, this is the time. And the thing is, what the Spirit of Earth is showing us is she's not going to let you forget. So she's very, very attentive to every one of her children. You could put it that way if we use that language. And she's saying she's making sure that everyone is ready for this amazing, amazing opportunity, ultimately. When we're moving to higher vibrations, there are symptoms. It takes a while for your body to adjust. It takes a while for your emotional, mental, and spiritual body to adjust. Spirit of Earth is saying when we heal our body, there are sensations when we heal. It's not like when we heal, all symptoms go away. There's a process, and the process includes symptoms. When the emotional body heals, there might be a fit of crying, and then you let all the tears out, and then it's better, right? There's going to be an expression of that transition, release, and healing. You're here in this body, in this lifetime, at this time. So this vehicle, this bag of bones, has to go, is the one that you're going in the, right, that you're in for this transition. This is your spaceship. Basically, it makes sense, right, that it's really a spicy time for that amplification of functioning of all your tissues. She's saying that don't interpret that all as, oh, well, now I'm aging and my fenders are falling off. You happen to be alive at a very specific time, and this is not all about aging. It's not all about menopause. It's not all about adolescence, right? It's all at all the different massive transition points, right? So whether your menses is oncoming or you're a young adult just embracing adult life, or whether, right, all the different big moments in life, like right now, you're doing it at this time, and trust the timing. So if you're a young adult starting university and this is when you're doing it, this is when you're doing it. And if you're moving through menopausal symptoms and what have you, then that's what you're doing at this time. And trust, the earth is saying, trust this whole magic meeting of this moment and the specific timeline of your body. Earth is speaking about it as opportunities, that the conditions of that particular time of life and how the body responds in that particular decade are opportunities. It's set up perfectly to be in this moment. So trust that the particular ecology of your body and of your being, right? Even if an illness is manifesting or is being diagnosed right now, trust that that is a portal. And it's your particular fabric that is ideal for this moment. All the conditions and the fabric of your life, it's like just take it as it is and trust that in that, it's a mystery to you perhaps, but that with time you'll understand that these are actually all the conditions that add up for you to embrace this opportunity of evolution at your optimal level. It's a recipe. And the thing is, your ego doesn't understand that recipe. Your spirit does, though. Your soul, your spirit, your high self, however you want to talk about it, absolutely knows why you're here at this particular juncture with these particular conditions. Yeah. So it's just allowing, right, for that sense of panic or fear, overwhelm, intensity of your experience. And for many, it feels like a lot, right? There's a lot right now. They're saying there's always been a lot. The difference is, just like the earth was telling us, the symptoms are going to be on the surface. It's like it's more that it's all on the surface and it's more tangible and perceivable than before. The difference too is that what Babaji is offering as an example, he's saying that you might have gone through some pretty intense experiences in your life before, but you've never really done it in a river that is running so fast. This is like a river in the spring, right? When the mountains and the snow are melting and you get that gush. So that's why it feels like a lot, because you're on a moving in and on and through a very powerful current. And so it can feel scary. It can feel a bit disorienting and definitely can bring on feelings of overwhelm. What Babaji is saying is, when your consciousness is changing and when our consciousness as a whole is changing, the point is we're going where we haven't been before. So that's why this level of change can bring a little bit more tumultuousness in our hearts and in our beings, because we're actually going to think differently and act differently and react to the world differently. We're going to understand the world differently. Like our matrix of understanding and conceptual matrix of the world is what's actually changing. When we upgrade our consciousness, we upgrade our relationship to all living beings, including ourselves. And when we upgrade to, right, the unconditional love, when we upgrade to unconditional abundance, when we upgrade to all of these very, very high vibrations, we're going to respond to the world and to everyone in our world and every living being in our world differently. And so we're going to be making decisions from a very, very different place. And right now, it's you don't know what those decisions could possibly be, and you won't know until you start moving through the layers of awakening that are available to us right now. We're going to be monitoring and very compassionately monitoring our needs, and then addressing our needs and the specificity of our needs. And Earth this year is going to be nudging us and nudging us and nudging us toward what needs to be acknowledged, addressed, and supported. Spirit of Earth is bringing in an energy. She says, think of me this year as your fitness coach. Think of me as you just hired this really amazing trainer. And, right, the trainer will keep nudging you and toward, right, greater performance. But the trainer will also be your best ally, right, in addressing old injuries and targeting muscle groups that are not firing, that need to fire, etc., right? So it's not like you're just going to be flapping and doing your exercise. You're going to be with a trainer who says, no, I don't care that you can move that big muscle. We need to move that other smaller muscle that you're not using for some reason. And you know how, if anybody's done that kind of training, I react that way to Pilates myself. I'm like, oh, it's just, it makes me so cranky to have to target those muscles that don't want to fire or have atrophied for some reason. But he's saying that's the thing is with the trainer, if you follow that process, like the earth is going to take you through your paces this year, if you follow that, you're going to get results. That's the thing, right, about a good trainer is satisfying at a certain point. But there's some days you just want to curse them and walk out of the room. So I was wondering how they were going to wrap this up. So the wrap up here is coming. They're saying basically, watch when you get cranky and you want to throw the trainer out of the room, because that's your ego doing that. That's you're meeting up ego resistance. Somebody in there, parts of your ego don't want to change and don't want to let go of control. Those tantrums are going to be intense, but also they're going to be really useful because you're going to really see which part of you is trying to hold on to her domain of you know, her control and her power out of, I would say, ignorance rather than wisdom, and out of a place of pain rather than wisdom, a place of trauma rather than wisdom, a place of survival rather than thriving. They're giving me permission to swear. Neither of them swear, but I do. They're saying when you're at that point where you're thinking, fuck this and fuck that, when you're there, they're saying you're really close. You're not far, you're close. It means you've edged your way to that knot and you're right there. Have your fit, but also acknowledge that that's actually your growth and you're just in that particular phase of growth. When the going gets tough, it's going to be come back to your heart and do whatever you need to do, right? Whether it's the long Epsom salt bath, whether it's the walk in your favorite forest, your favorite garden, whether it's your meditation, whatever it is to come back to that center and to keep coming back to those practices. Because the earth element is very much the self-care and is very much a daily connection with what puts you in your best spot to access that fuel, to experience it in your being, and also to metabolize it so that then it transforms into energy that translates in your external and internal manifestation of growth, of love. You're functioning at an optimal level, which will be centered in your heart. And they're saying that the feel-good operation and all of that is that when you're centered in your heart and it's governing and everything, you don't need external validation because you feel so darn good because you know when you're hitting it. You don't need anybody to tell you. You know it and you feel it and you get your own high. You'll know it because you'll just feel it in you. You'll go, wow, I just did something and I knew how to do it differently. I did it differently. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know you've been able to manifest a level of flow that's generous, beneficial to you, and beneficial to all living beings. Whatever you're doing, right, at your personal level, you're actually participating and you're collaborating with all living beings at this very particular juncture and beautiful juncture in our history in terms of human consciousness. Yeah.